Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors and the rest of the gang here. Andrew Dalton is out. He is married. He's on a honeymoon. Big deal. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about Watkins Glen, and we got our winner calling in, Chris Buescher. Let's get started. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. All right, so as I mentioned, TJ's in the studio. How's it going, TJ?
It's great. I kind of wanted to forget about the Glen, but we'll talk about it, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about Bristol coming up, man. Me and you, we're going to team up, go over there and run the Xfinity race.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should hopefully we don't go out in a ball of flames.
Jesus, I'm going to hear a lot of flame and burn and all those jokes this week. Everybody got up this morning and it was miserable weather. We got a little bit of a storm coming through the Carolinas, dumping a ton of rain, and man, I threw on this hoodie. It's hoodie weather, kinda. It's still a little warm out.
Hoodie?
It's not hoodie weather yet.
Well, it's not hoodie weather. No. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm always excited when the weather turns. You got two sets of clothes, right, in your closet. You got the warm weather, the cold weather. There's really no middle ground, and so I love the summer. Not wishing it away, but man, I got a ton of good-looking hoodies. I'm ready to throw them on.
I mean, you just threw it over that Lucas shirt that I know.
Yeah,
we're going to
talk about. Yeah, we're going to talk about why I'm wearing this shirt later in the show. We'll get to the Dirty Mo Dove segment. First off, I want to thank Tire Pros as our sponsor for today's Dirty Air. And one of the things that's neat about Tire Pros, we've told you about all of their hundreds and hundreds of locations owned by men and women in your own communities across the country, but they also have mobile vans. They come over to the race shop and they'll change your tires and do anything you need. So they kind of turn themselves now into a bit of a mobile service. If you can't get to them, they can come out to where you are. You drive your car to work. Hey, man, I ain't got time this week to get my car some new tires, but I got some issues. I need tires ASAP. And so they can come out and do this right there in the parking lot, man. Incredible. You go into your job, come back out, you got some new tires, man, some new radials sitting there.
I've actually used that service, and it's amazing.
Really, yeah. It sounds incredible. Wish they'd had it back in the day. But
change your profession if they did.
Well, I mean, it's just so convenient. So many things that we've done over the years to make life easier that I think we kind of take these things for granted. So thank you, Tire Pros, for being innovative and trying to service your customers. You can find a van near you at tirepros.com. And, let's get right into I guess we'll go right into it, man. Watkins Glen. So you're wanting to forget it, man. Wait a minute.
I want to forget it,
You're working for the team that won the race.
For them, great race for Chris and the 17 guys. Yeah.
I mean, it's like they're not even on. Yeah, it's like they're not even on the same team.
No. Chris was on. I mean, he was dominant. He drove to the front.
I've never understood how you guys. Hey, when he runs well, you get a bonus, right? You get a little bump.
No.
No. Right.
No.
Oh, my bad. Well, don't say if he wins, don't the guys on the 6 team get a little bonus?
I don't know.
That not work out?
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how it works.
I'm sure there's some.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is.
Man, I can't believe you didn't work that into your deal, TJ.
I know.
You don't let much slide, man. I'm surprised that's not in the contract.
It's penciled in.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's on my notes.
All right. You need to add that into your next contract.
I'll pay if Chris is going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
I need to.
So, this was a fun race to watch. We had the accident on the first lap, Corey LaJoy getting into the back of the 8 car, and man, it just caused a hell of a mess. And the 12 car of Blaney has contact with you guys, and it snaps toe link or something on the front, the left front of Blaney.
Some in the steering's
broke. Gone, yeah, right. So he can't get back to the pits, right? So they got to bring his car back to the pits. Now there's this big debate. So he gets his car back to the pits. It's absolutely more than likely repairable, but with the rules that NASCAR has, if you get towed back, you're out of the race. And so you're in the accident, you're out of the race. He could have fixed the car, got back out there, been a couple laps down, maybe made something out of the day. When we go over the results, I think he could have made something out of the day. Probably come out of there about 10 or maybe 15 points better. But they wouldn't allow him on the track, and man, he blasted the situation. I mean, obviously, absolutely furious that he couldn't repair his car. They didn't give him a chance to do it, but that's the rule. So, is there a debate going on around whether there's, is this rule good? Right? We've not had a problem with it up to this point. NASCAR has changed the policies in terms of repairing your vehicle, and there's a crash clock and all that crap. So I call it crap, but it's not really crap. So listen, there was a reason why we or NASCAR went in this direction, and I was chatting on social media. Bob Proctor's put up some great points about some of the reasons for the current protocols. Teams had these elaborate crash carts. You had one cart that had like all these body panels. Teams were carrying entire fender, hood, and nose pieces up in the top of the haulers. If you crashed the front of the car, you could just basically set this whole front end on and get the aero decent enough to finish the race. They had crash carts with full suspension, front and rear suspension pieces. And imagine with this, with the next-gen car, the elaborate crash carts that they would develop and create that would all have to go into the hauler and get pulled up and down the road, unnecessarily overweighing the haulers. And the haulers were at one point, carrying illegal amounts of weight. Like a lot of them were on the borderline or pushed right up against the borderline of legally getting up and down the road. And some of them were getting themselves in trouble. And so, NASCAR's done. That was one of the many, many reasons why we went away from this, and went to a situation where, when you wreck, you're out of the race. Unless you can drive the car to the pits, then you have an allotted amount of time. I could tell you some problems with the current protocol. I've always felt like the cars that do get back to the pits have a lot of damage sometimes that's not repairable, but they're sending these guys back out on the racetrack and in dangerous situations for themselves and the other cars on the racetrack. A lot of times the bare bond and the pieces that they're hurriedly putting on these cars comes off, creates a caution unnecessarily. And so they're rushed to fix the car because of a clock. And if the clock runs out, they're out of the race. So they're just trying to go back out, make minimum speed. That's a dangerous situation. You're not going to argue with me and change my mind that that's putting somebody in a very compromised situation. They could not have the clock, allow them to repair the car and take time on pit road if it's 10, 15 minutes, whatever necessary, so they can send the car out there safely and where nothing's going to come flying off of it and the car can steer properly, and then let the guy finish the race. But, NASCAR wants to try to I think NASCAR kind of wants to save the guys from themselves and say, hey, man, it's time for you to park it. It's time for your day to be over with.
It's worked well.
It has worked well. One of the things that I proposed, and I'm sure there's flaws in this idea, but one of the things that I thought about doing, TJ, was if you wanted to strip away like the crash clock and give a guy like Blaney the opportunity to fix his car that got towed to the garage, why wouldn't you just say something like, hey, man, from 25th to last, all get the same points, right? So, or 20th to last. Something, I'm sure there's problems with that. But what I'm trying to say is, like, man, if I know the only way I can improve my points for the day is to finish in the top 20, right? And so if I'm damaged and tore all to hell, I'm more than likely going to load it up because I know my chances of improving points that I'm going to gain aren't going to be great. So does Blaney repair the car if he knows that he's not going to be able to go out there and improve 20 positions? Maybe, especially early in the race. But maybe this might work for guys that are crashing out at halfway and 75% into the race, knowing that they're probably not going to be able to regroup, rebuild, and get back into the top 20. I
don't think that's going to work.
I know, but I think that...
I know how these crew chiefs are, and you've been there with, Tony Jr. They want to fix these things if it's a 500 lap race, if it takes them 499 laps, they're going to try to fix it, especially at a plate race too, though. Because if you wreck on lap 5 at a plate race, you know, I mean.
I agree. I think that IndyCar, maybe if somebody else has a very similar sort of point
system is what
kind of the same.
Reminds me of.
So,
I don't know if I like that, though.
Yeah, I don't look at the points. And I've never looked at our point system, no matter what it was, and thought, yeah, I don't like that. From 15th on back, I don't love that. I mean, do you give two what 20th got for points that day?
I mean, now that we're looking in the playoffs, I feel like it matters.
Yeah.
I mean, especially you look at where all the playoff guys finished this week. The difference between 26th and 20th could be the difference of advancing from one round to another.
Okay.
It would tighten the points race up, I think, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely think maybe not all the way to 20th, but maybe like a 30th or something, you know.
Something like it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's probably some room there to look at.
Look, I didn't say it was perfect. I think that it's like an idea. There's a middle ground. There's a middle ground with maybe doing exactly what you said. From 30th on back gets the same amount of points. And then maybe you can dial back some of the crash protocols that we have that sort of gosh, I really hate that. You know, I hate for anybody in the points, Blaney or anyone. Dude, I like Blaney. We're pals. But I hate it that he can probably just change a toe link and be fine.
I heard that damage was a little more than a toe link. Yeah. Why don't they just tow him?
That's just speculation, man.
Just tow him all to garage, in my opinion.
I heard that it was not bad at all.
Oh, I mean, I'd heard it was something.
I countered your hearsay. Yeah, with more hearsay.
Yeah, I heard it was something in the steering.
This is what they do on DBC. Yeah, what I heard. Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen cars drive with broke toe links, though.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. All right. We don't do that hearsay over here.
I mean,
I know you're new here, TJ.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I don't have factual evidence, so I don't just spout hearsay.
Well, I mean, that's kind of hearsay what you just said.
I know. I was hearsay for hearsay. So let's
hearsay for hearsay.
That was you talked about Blaney having that one lap crash, 38th place finish. A lot of the playoff drivers struggled. 11 of 16 drivers had issues during the day, and Byron, Brad, Hamlin, all the trouble that they had was sucky. But what I found surprising was Larson, Suarez, and Christopher Bell, even Logano, getting top 15 finishes. If you look at what happened to them, that is really what's impressive is if you said, okay, man, before the race begins, I'm going to tell you that Larson will be penalized for vehicle interference and Suarez is going to park it in the gravel. And Bell will be in a lap 1 crash, and Logano will be in 80. Logano is going to be in that little dust up
with the 6 and the 24,
which was not an issue for him. That wasn't really a problem. I mean, he escaped on.
Yeah, he made it a problem for other people.
Yeah, but if I told you that about Larson, Suarez, and Bell, would you think they would finish in the top 14? If I told you that was what was going to happen to them that day, you would have thought, man, there's no way they're going to come out of there with a top 14 finish. Why is the field having so much churn during that race that a guy like Suarez can park it in the gravel and come back and run 13th?
What helps is probably that it's a road course. It's so big, you don't go a lap down from like a pit road penalty or stuck in the gravel.
But still, once you lose that track position,
right? Yeah,
with the other tire.
I know they were saying it was. Ty Gibbs said it was hard to pass, wasn't
it?
Yeah, it was hard to pass.
It's always hard to pass.
Yeah,
man, it's hard to pass. We hear that every week.
I know. I understand.
That's nothing. That added nothing to the conversation.
All right.
What I think it is, TJ, is the tire. Do you not think that the tire? Listen, there wasn't a ton of there wasn't all the fall off we were talking about.
No.
But guys were on pit road more to take tires. There was more pit stops, different strategies, people on different strategies. There was more churn and turn through the field. There was a lot more accidents, people having issues.
Yeah.
But how do you explain?
I think there's a lot of factors in here. I do think the tires matter, but I don't think we had enough because we only had
enough of what?
We didn't have enough tire sets to do that a lot during the race. For caution flags out, pit.
Yeah.
What I think now is there's a lot more guys that aren't trying to get stage points. They're going for the win. So you got every playoff guy is going for stage points. You know what I mean? And
staying out.
They're staying out. That's why at one point you looked at the top 7 and you're like, man, or top 5, whatever it was. You're like, there's not even a playoff guy in the top 5 right now.
You think that's why our playoff guys didn't get the better results, is because they all gave up?
I think that's part of the
position.
I think it's one of the factors that add in there. You got to take stage points when you get them, and you can't be as aggressive with your strategy, shooting for the win. So you're gonna. I think the tires mattered some. The track was cool because the tires wore and the track actually got really dirty. You know how like when the tires wear, it kind of makes offline and stuff way worse. But the tires definitely were a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
I agree. And so the turn and turn, the turnover, and the position swapping and mix up through the field, especially on those restarts, man. The track being dirty, the tire having a lot of lateral slip. It looked like guys were yawing and slipping the back and losing traction. Right?
Oh, yeah, they could.
Way more than what we would see with the other tires, I guess. And the track was dirtier, so if you got offline or put offline, you could tend to lose multiple spots coming up through the S's. We saw some guys gain several spots in the first 3 corners of a restart, and other drivers lose several. There was a lot of churn and turnover in the field to give a guy that like Suarez, who puts himself in the gravel, many opportunities to redeem himself and recover, which I don't believe that opportunity would have existed if we went back to the racetrack the way we were last year. If you go in the gravel and you're Suarez without some sort of a lucky yellow where everybody's called out on the racetrack or something like that, I don't think he gets that track position back. Not 13th. I just think this race with the action on the track, the dirty track, the tires, all of those combinations presented us with. We left not so frustrated by how, we always would see cars kind of get trapped behind each other because of the aero and the hardness of the tire and the lack of, if you drove smart, you could keep this guy that was 0.3 or half a second faster behind you.
It drove like a mile and a half last year.
It wasn't that way this weekend.
No, it was way better.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And guys were making mistakes less. I mean, the race was won off of one of the best road racers in the series making a mistake.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of guys make a mistake in practice, missing there were spin outs, but we also saw guys go down in the carousel and cook it in there too hard and miss the corner, right? And miss the.
It was way more of that this year.
Yeah. So listen, man, I just want to say before, I know you're ready to chime in, I could tell. I just want to say that, I think that we should really applaud the tire and the effort that Goodyear made. I know they talked a big talk about 4 seconds of fall off and all that shit, and as the track rubbered up, it wasn't quite as much. And so we didn't get everything that they talked about, but the tire definitely looked more – the tire to me reminded me more of a bias ply than a radial. There was more – yawing and cars sort of hanging it out up through the S's and guys getting over that line and making a mistake and chasing their cars, and which is really, really what we need.
Exit of 1 was big.
Yeah.
Guys could wiggle off of there way more now, and then the guy behind him gets a run.
Yes.
So way better. The track too. Got to give the track credit for making the changes that they made trying to help the racing.
Yeah. What do you think about that stuff they did to the runoff area where they basically tried to take some of the grip away? I think they went through there and made divots in the asphalt.
Yeah.
And trying to make it where, yes, you can use it. Yes, it'll help you if you get in trouble, but it's not somewhere we want you racing. Guys still did go way out there, but what was the response from the drivers about being on that?
I don't think it was as usable. It definitely, from what the hearsay that I got was that it was made you on edge a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was definitely, and you could see the guys that went out there last year. The guy that ran all the way to the wall would just carry momentum and clear everybody on the bottom.
Yep.
The guy that got out there now didn't always clear the guy on the bottom, so you could tell he was struggling a little bit.
With a tire that was maybe sensitive to wear too, I'd have to think that surface and perfection of that surface would be more. If you used it constantly, it would be harder on the tire over the course of the run.
Yep.
Well, Connor Zilic said even on DBC yesterday he used it on the restarts.
Well, he quartered one in practice in the ARCA car, I believe, messing with it. So he knew right then that he wasn't You had to be careful when you played with it.
Yeah, it was much more abrasive.
Why are we trying to curb the track limit so much? Like, why not just let the guys run out there?
Because, listen,
I didn't see why it was such a big deal that we're trying to keep everyone
because everything's so fast, dude. And nobody can get runs on anybody. Yeah. There's no room. If you mess up, the Watkins Glen, like before you were born,
more forgiving.
Used to have. Yes, you used to watch like Robbie Gordon go through the bus stop with the right side 4 feet in the air on the first curb, and then if you got offline 4 feet, you were hitting dirt or something and making a mistake, and then people would capitalize on it. When you just pave all that area, it just gets much easier to run off there, and people keep their speed up.
It takes away the potential for mistakes, which would present opportunities for passing and if you could just
Rex.
if you just can bury it into turn one and run off the racetrack on corner exit, hell, anybody can make a corner, halfway decent.
Yeah.
And look like a hero, right? And so it brings back in a discipline of getting the braking perfect in the entry, getting the downshifts just right, getting the turn, not locking up the tires, and getting up out of the corner without just a complete free reign of running wherever you want to run. If you cook the entry or run too hard through the center, the guy behind you can't capitalize because you have all of this asphalt out here saving your ass. And so I hate track limits. Like when we're talking about COTA track limits, that's ridiculous to me. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
we're not talking about that. But I think it's a good move. I don't think anybody ever intended when they paved that for the teams to go running out there. Like, hey, here's a new racetrack. Go run this way. I think when they saw that, they were like, oh, that was unintended. So much like the apron at Phoenix on the front straightaway. I don't give a what they say. The people that designed that track weren't sitting there going, hey, man, they're going to use this apron. It'll be 5 wide on restarts. And they were going. I bet when they saw that for the first time, they were like, damn, I didn't think they'd go down there. But they did.
Probably true.
Right? And now, it makes for some awesome restarts. I don't entirely love cutting the track so massively, but as a traditionalist, I don't love it. But
I hate spotting it.
Yeah.
And, we're talking about Watkins Glen. Our race winner, Chris Buescher, is in the room.
What in the hell? What's that behind you there, pal?
That's my dad's Bronco.
Yeah. What color is that?
Dang.
It is
lavender.
Ugly. I don't know.
My little girl would love that.
That's lavender.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair.
I would think that's awesome. I think it's a good looking truck, but
I bet it smells good.
Very surprising. Of all you have some pretty cool cars, don't you?
We're slowly building up a collection, but everything's progress. This is the closest one to running.
Well, man, hey, I'm appreciative that you're going to give us some time today. I know that you're kind of in the this is a tough part of the season. You're grinding deep into the year, and everybody's kind of smoked emotionally and mentally and maybe a little bit physically at this point, but you got a couple races left, and I don't know how in the hell you did that Sunday. Look, I will tell you that I think the world of your talent, and I think you're a really, really great race car driver, but I don't believe that many people had you pulling off the win with a half a lap to go over SVG. I don't know, how surprised were you to see the mistake and see the opportunity and take the lead?
Yeah, I won't lie. That was probably the one car did not want to see get by us on that restart. So I was with you. I knew that was going to be a tough one to get back going. And honestly, the second to last lap was not good.
Yeah.
I was, lost the lead. I felt like my lap was messy, lost a little ground, and we took the white flag, got into one, gained a little bit, and watched him run wide off of one. And the rumbles, while they weren't a big deal, you really couldn't put that much lateral load into the car across them. And so we gained a little bit there, and we got a good run up through the S's. And the thought went through my head at that point. I was like, we've got a shot at this thing again. So I just tried to keep the pressure on up the hill there and into the bus stop. And man, when he drove in as deep as he did, I was pretty much to a point where I don't think I could go any deeper. And he was ahead of me still digging. So I thought an opportunity might open up there, and sure enough, it did. And ended up being a really, really fun race, a hard-fought one. It was looking a lot easier about 25, 30 minutes prior to that, but still had to go fight for that one.
I want to know your emotions when you come out of the carousel and you look in the mirror and he's within reach. That is, that's probably one of the toughest things to describe as a race car driver. You've got two corners with one of the best road course racers. He can outbrake just about anybody in the field. You got two corners where he's going to try his hardest to get back to you. What's your emotions headed down the back straightaway?
Yeah, I know one of our spotters, Tom, was telling me he closed a little bit into 6, but we had been really good getting out of 6, so I thought we would be okay there, and so got off of 6 pretty good. I didn't get all the way out to set up for 7 like I would have liked, but in doing that, kind of guarded to make sure he wasn't right there on us. And then I think he had the same mindset, was put power down early and try and beat to the inside. And I didn't know it at the time, but I watched the video back and seen he got awfully crossed up across the turn 6 exit curve there. So really just gave us some breathing room. My turn 7 was terrible exit, but I there that I better get off the brakes because he was probably coming. And so I rolled in and way overdrove the center, but was just trying to cover and didn't even make it all the way through 7. And Herm told me that he missed the corner and that was it. And I was sitting there fist pumping from inside the car and almost forgot to grab third gear. So had to get that mindset back real quick and make sure I finished the job. But I'm obviously a little bit of a sour taste in our mouth for celebrating too early after a couple months ago, and there I was doing it again. So, it was a really big moment. That was so cool for our entire group. We had such a fast race car, really just came alive after a couple laps. So that was truly enjoyable. I think the tire really brought on some cool opportunities for a lot of the field, but we specifically for us, a lot of those changes really worked well for our group. And man, we finally got a road course. We've been so good at these things. We've been so close to finally actually pull it off. That was special to me personally. I know the team's jacked up and loved it, but that was a big check for my West.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask you about the tire. We were talking about that just a moment ago. It looked like that the tire presented and provided a lot more yaw, a bigger forgiving window for you to kind of be more creative with the car and put the car a bit more back in the driver's hands. Would you agree with all that? And where do you think they can go with what they've learned with this particular tire?
Yeah, I'll be quick to say I'm not an engineer, and some of this could be completely wrong. But from where I was at behind the wheel, it was a tire that you can move around. It didn't feel so on edge, but it was also a tire that you could really piss off. You can make that tire give up on you really quick if you really abused it, and you would have to actually take a breather and get it back. And in my memory, I don't remember racing on a tire in probably the last decade that's been able to go through cycles like that as a driver I had a little bit of control over where it went. It felt like we've always had tires that either you abuse it and throughout an entire run, you take it off the car and it's still got half its tread life left and no fall off. Or, we've had tires that Bristol won this year that, no matter how easy you take it, it's going to shred. So I thought it was a great mix of a lot of different elements to put things back in driver's hands. And I think that, I don't know about the Roval with the load that you see in the banking, if this is an option there or not. I have no clue. But, to me, it's a tire that I feel like you take that idea behind it, it could work really well at a lot of places.
Yeah. I was wanting to ask you about, before we let you go, man, we are coming back up on Bristol. We know what happened there with the tire at the first race. A lot of speculation on what might happen this time around. Will it be more of what we've always seen at Bristol, or will we have another situation where the tire has excessive wear? What's your expectations?
We got to do the test. We were one of, I think, 7 or 8 cars that did that tire test. I would say that it was significantly hotter that day. And going back, looks like we're going to have an awfully cool night. With the test, I don't think that we're changing anything. And I think we did see some significant wear still. So from where I'm at, I feel like we could see a lot of the same principle of the tire. I think teams are all aware of that and know, and they're going to go into trying to set up for longer runs versus our shorter Bristol runs that we've had in the past. I know we're going to do, just found out yesterday, we're going to do our full group practice with all the race cars for an extended practice. So maybe getting all the cars on track in practice will help put some rubber into it versus, trying to do our 20-minute practices. And you know how those first couple of laps, it kind of actually pulls the rubber out of the track and then you have to get heat back in it. So maybe with that, it changes it a little bit. But I think we're going to have a lot of similarities to the last race, and it's really going to put it on our teams and on us as drivers to really try and make sure that we are smart about how hard we push. I hope it widens out a little bit more so that you do feel like you have a little bit more wiggle room to try and save it. But I think that we have another race coming up that could be extremely exciting to figure out how to play it.
Yeah, I agree. If the wear is there, I enjoyed the race earlier this year because of the drivers were the ones responsible for trying to get that thing to the finish line, and that was fun to watch, see who could do it the best. Hopefully we get a little bit of that. Thanks for giving us the time today. Congratulations. Just a statement victory, something I think you'll definitely be proud of the rest of your life. You don't do what you did as a race car driver. You don't do that very often. Many people don't really have those moments. You either, you win races in all kinds of ways, but not many times you get to go up against one of the greatest road course racers and beat him at his game. And so I was thrilled to see it. You're a great dude. Thanks for the time today, bud, and good luck in Bristol.
I appreciate it. We had a blast as well, so hopefully y'all enjoyed watching, and let's go make Bristol just as fun.
All right, man. Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about safety culture. You may know Safety Culture's logo from Shane Van Gisbergen's car, but Safety Culture is more than just a sponsor. It's also the workplace operations tool for the Trackhouse Racing team. And what does that actually mean? Well, the team uses Safety Culture's app to manage everything from pre-race inspections on the car to assembly checks, and they even do some of their training on the app. Every race team has an incredible amount of individuals that maybe don't even travel to the racetrack, work back at the shop, that are a big part of the success of that race team, preparing cars, getting them ready to go to the racetrack and run these races and try to win checkered flags and ultimately championships. No matter what you're trying to achieve, no one has time to waste. From construction sites to factory floors, Safety Culture is designed to drive improvements not just in safety, but broadly across quality and efficiency too. Are you ready to put your workplace in the pole position? Well, head to safetyculture.com/SVG. All right, so we got to talk to Chris about the race and his experience there, but also that little information about Bristol this weekend coming up. I honestly, man, before he said, that, hey, I did the tire test, I expect the wear to be there. I expect it to still be a bit of a challenge. I was going to say I didn't expect it. I really was, I think with all of the truck and Xfinity and the racing, the K&N series, as long as they don't have weather that washes all of that off the racetrack, those races, they're not going to treat the racetrack before the truck race. So the trucks, I think, are going to widen this track out.
I think trucks will widen it out for sure.
And then they're going to treat it with resin before the Xfinity cars get on it. We'll definitely use most of the racetrack. They're going to have plenty of practices. And so as long as there's no weather, I think that the wear issues, there'll still be wear, but I don't think drivers are going to really have to kind of dial it back.
Every 30 laps, somebody's blowing on. You won't have that.
I don't either. I don't think so either. I do think, though, that you can I think you may have a guy or two cord a tire or get a tire toward, they're going to have to get to pit road a little quicker than maybe they perhaps want to. If it runs extensive, like 70, 80 laps.
I was going to say 70, 80, a guy that's really fast.
pushing a little bit too much. Dude,
that's what I want.
Denny said on Actions Detrimental they can run at least 10 to 15 more laps because the teams just are smarter. They have a better approach to all of this. So
yeah.
Well, there's that. I mean, the teams now will go with geometry and front end setups that'll try to help the tire, and the drivers will be a little smarter. They'll be more rubber down. So I think all of that adds up, and you're still gonna have that one off that just tries to get a little too aggressive on camber or something like that.
Oh, for sure.
And because it'll make a car so much faster, but it won't last. So we'll see.
You're going to have the guys that go with it just for the speed and be like, oh, we'll just back it way down or we'll have it there when we need it. Yeah, so
that'll be fun to see.
And for those asking, too, it is – we talked to Goodyear yesterday, and it is the exact same tire codes, the exact same track prep as they did the last time.
I could not be more excited.
And I know. I'm pumped about it. I'm so glad that they went that direction again.
Yeah.
You should run the Cup race, man.
I think it'd be fun.
The first race, what was the 3 oldest guys in the field finished first, second, third? I mean.
Yeah. I think if you could plop me right down in the middle of that race, the first Bristol race, I'd have probably been all right.
Yeah, I think we'd have blown right front the first time, and then we would have been all right from there.
Yeah. Well, I want to step back to Watkins Glen real quick. Talk about Truex after the race, frustrated over the aggressive level some of the race car drivers showed. At how do these guys call themselves the best in the world? He says, when all they do is drive through you, and I hear what he's saying. I do agree that if you drop, in the Cup level at the end of that race, super aggressive. If you drop down Xfinity truck, it just gets so much worse. We're seeing quite a bit of that happening now at the late model stock and the grassroots level. There's more aggression, more physical contact, more pushing and shoving. Drivers are getting more brazen, less respect, and that's all true, and that's troubling, concerning to a point. But if I'm a driver, I hate it. I'm like, I don't like being disrespected. I want somebody to give me a chance to make a corner, right?
But if you're watching,
if I'm an owner, certainly pissed off too, because I can't control the car, can't drive it. I feel even less helpless. But as a series owner or as a fan. Well, maybe some fans don't love this, but as I think for me, I love the aggression. I love the contact, and I love a guy. I love there being people in the field that will put your ass in the wall, and I might not pull for them. I might think they are a bad human being because they make those decisions, but I like what it does to the drama. I like the drama. I want to see if this other guy's going to come back and redeem himself, get the other guy back. Will this create a rivalry? Whatever, right? We need all those things. Those ingredients are important as fans. As a series owner, you want to see the aggression, but you want it to stop at a certain level, right? You don't want it to continue to escalate. That's what I think I'm only concerned about, is that we've seen a rise in the lack of respect and guys just basically just driving through each other at the ends of these races, and it seems to be ramping up, right? What we saw this past weekend was almost like the perfect amount.
I thought so.
Right?
The Xfinity race, that could be a different argument with all the overtimes.
I was at a wedding.
Yeah, we were at...
We were
at Dalton's wedding, and Dalton got completely married, and they were still in overtime.
Yes, which is another conversation to have here in a bit. But
we were still saving fuel.
I would just there's not an end to this conversation or any kind of a button, but I'm just saying that I'm a bit concerned how the aggression is just kind of ratcheting up, and it's like that it's good. Some of this is good, but too much of this. It is bad, right? Too much of this is foolish and unproductive and unprofessional. So, we'll just have to watch and see where it goes from here. And this is the part of the year, especially in the playoffs, where it's anything goes, right? Well,
I'll take.
Yeah.
No give.
He's not wrong. I mean, it has gotten so bad that they've moved restart zones.
Yeah.
to get us away from each other more. You know, you got COTA, Indy, the Indy road course.
Yeah, COTA, like that's a great example. Turn 1 at COTA is
free for all.
It's not even. It's
a video game.
It's kind of it's a little embarrassing.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
You know, like when the, you know, look, when the IMSA guys come and run with us, or the other guys come from other disciplines, SVG and all them, and they come in there and they're like, holy crap, like wow, you know, that's it's a little classless, it's a little embarrassing. You want some of it though.
Yeah.
You want them to come into the series and get pushed around, but you don't want the whole field looking like a bunch of buffoons going in the corner. And like,
which we were.
Just who comes out is anyone's guess. It's not really any, and there's no skill involved. It's just all like who doesn't get wrecked.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
I mean, we're talking about Phoenix and the dog leg and how people go 5 wide there, and like there was clear intention to move the start finish line there because we would have, I mean, probably a factor, not the only factor, was because we're gonna have thrilling restarts now. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, I feel like there's at least some intention to.
And that shows you that it can be done.
Yeah,
these guys can do it. But that turn 1 at COTA. Ugh.
The COTA turn 1 and a little bit of the Indy road course. Those kind of things were just not good. And so, you know, you got a guy at COTA going to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to outbrake everybody and pass 10 cars, knowing he has no chance of making the exit of the corner. He's got to bounce off the guy in front of him just to get turned. And he's going to do it, and he knows he's going to do it, and that guy's going to get sent into somebody else, and then there's like, you know, there's 3 cars with bent toe links by the time they come out of the corner, and one of them's up, one of them's backwards, and guy's been running 6th all day, having a great day, and now he's 30th, and so it's just really frustrating. The other thing too is the cost of repair. So for I do know that in the Cars Tour, when we go to the ST2 tire that has less fall off, everybody's more competitive, can run harder. There's less fall off. It makes it harder to pass. You have to be aggressive to pass, especially late in the race. Cost to compete for our teams is probably up 15 to 20% in damage repair. Just fenders and doors and quarter panels and bumpers and bumper bars and front bumper bars and crush panels and ductwork, because you're replacing this every week. Even the guys that run in the top 5 have to, you know, put a new damn right front fender and a half a nose on and a bumper bar. That they weren't doing that last year. When we ran on the 45s and you had to take care of the tire, be smarter. Yeah. You couldn't even you didn't have that aggression. Think about what that's like in the Cup Series. You know, when you got guys, you know, knocking the sides off these cars, and you've made the front and the back of the car more crushable, and so those little aluminum braces that are going out and jutting out to the bumper, they are all, you know, bending and conforming in impact, and those things all have to get replaced.
Do you think the Cup car, since it's so solid, do these guys know they can have more contact?
I do.
Without having the you know.
Joey Logano's spoken to that.
They do. They beat the out of these cars because there's less of a performance.
No tire
penalty.
Rubs. Yeah.
But it does bend that $500 freaking aluminum brace on the right front of the bumper. There's like 6 of them across the bumper, right? I'm sure that damn thing ain't cheap.
Well, that sounds like your problem, not the
driver's.
driver's.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, the driver ain't thinking about that in the moment.
They ought to be.
But
no.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. When you're racing at the Cars Tour level.
I guess I'm never going to drive for Dale.
Cars Tour level, I 100% agree with you.
Okay.
Well, why do they forget? Why does it not matter at the top level?
I mean, if you're going for a Cup win and
wait,
Take the
you can't come in here with this. You can't come in this conversation and go, well, if you're going for the win, that's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about the guy that's restarting 30th.
Okay. Here's why.
Dive bombs down on the inside at COTA.
That makes no sense.
And destroys,
because
he destroys, $10,000 worth of body work to get 5 spots.
We're at a level where if you don't do it, it's going to be done to you, so you might as well do it, right? Is that not the mentality in the garage?
Yeah, and honestly, that guy that was running 30th probably doesn't even belong in the Xfinity Series.
or I'm talking to the Cubs, but either way. Yeah.
Either way, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We need to pick a series and talk about
Yeah.
that series.
I'm gonna tell you right now, every freaking Tuesday when I come in here to record this show,
Yeah.
I walk by all of our what?
Oh, no, just the way you said freaking Tuesday.
I
gotta come in here
No.
every freaking Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, I come in here, I park in the back of the shop, and I walk through the shop. And every Tuesday, they have all 4 of our Xfinity cars in several versions of deconstruction. They're they got all the suspension off the cars, and now they're out in the wash bay getting cleaned up, and they're all destroyed.
Whoa. Not all of them.
Yeah.
Not. By the way, do I get a win bonus?
Listen to me. I'll take you out there right now, and we'll look at that 88 car, and all the crush panels are knocked out of it.
Well, he probably hit the ball in the front stretch.
He won the
burnout.
race, though.
Yeah.
Can you be too upset about that?
Listen, I'm just trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
You're up my conversation here, man. I'm trying to make
sorry.
a point, and you're all over it. So you're the owner of this car. Unfortunately, yeah, you get set at that desk. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're the owner of that car and you walk by 4 cars every single Tuesday that need a tail piece, need a nose piece, need all the front bumper bars cut off of them, they need all the crush panels rebuilt. The right front fender and the quarter panel on one car is no good. The other fender and the other quarter panel, then the door on the other car is no good. All that stuff adds up. We don't, when we had steel bodies, we'd hack off the problem area and rebuild it, and it was cheaper. And now, these parts and pieces add up over the course of the year, and every week we are repairing parts, body parts, and crush panels, and bumper bars. And this is just the Xfinity series.
Spoilers, everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we would walk in here 2 years ago, and they would be tearing the cars down, and you could walk around them and go, yeah, all that's going to buff out. And now we're not. Now you walk in here, and they're all missing giant chunks of the overall body because all the tore up, and it's in the garbage.
Yeah.
And so we got a big pile out in the back that used to not be there of fenders, noses, hoods, all the just busted up. And so, and it ain't, it's because of the lack of respect. All that happens mostly in the end of the race. On those final restarts. Green, white, checkers, green, white, checkers, green, white, checkers, green, white, checkers.
Yeah. 100%.
And, it's just, I guess my point is it's like, it's 15 to 20% more expensive to race at the grassroots level in most cases because of the aggressive nature of the racing that changed a little bit over the last couple of years. And it's no different. Trucks, Xfinity, it's gotten more expensive. Denny was talking about it. He's like, man, everything's great about, Denny's like, hey, one of the things that we haven't factored into the expense of running our Cup stuff is the damage repair. All this carbon fiber, all these purpose-built parts that we have to buy from these other, third-party people are expensive. And as they made that car absorb the crashes better, that means getting torn up. That means more damage to the car. They used to run, man, the first time they wrecked the next gen, they ran into the wall at 80 mile an hour, and you looked at it and you went, damn, it ain't even hurt.
Yeah.
How in the hell?
And even Denny wrecked in the S's and finished the race.
Yeah.
If you wrecked in the S's when you were driving, you were done.
I know, but now they've made the car where it bends and gets torn up, and it's expensive. Those parts aren't cheap parts. They're very expensive on the Cup car because it's all custom third-party vendor. They got the monopoly on bumpers, right? The guy making the bumpers is like, hell yeah.
Every green, white checker,
right?
he's high-fiving somebody.
Yes. So I don't know. I don't even know how we got on this conversation. Andrew, I'm sorry if I offended you.
Do you? All right, let me ask how we fix this then, because you were talking about
drivers.
The steel bodies.
Okay. Wait, that was my argument with you. Is like it is on the drivers to fix this.
Yes, ultimately it's on the drivers.
Yes,
they're the ones that are hitting the gas and brake and steering.
Andrew,
if the car is what's allowing them to race more aggressively,
it isn't the car.
No, in the Cup Series it is. In the Xfinity Series and trucks it's not.
So then, in the Xfinity and Truck Series, how do you curb the aggression? Is it
NASCAR has to start cracking down? There's.
I mean, we talk about the line with Austin Dillon. Is that where NASCAR now has to find this new line?
Let's go back.
Aggression?
Let's go back And I'm sorry, hosts of R, great job this weekend.
Yes.
But let's go back to when he was racing in the trucks and he's right hooking people, right? Or just turning guys around, right? And NASCAR had some opportunities to park him in the penalty box, like at IRP, right? There was a particular wreck, I think. And they didn't, right? And that's so I think that's not the entire fix, but that's part of how you sort of send a message, draw a line. The governing body at the grassroots level, the Cars Tour, the SA Tour, how they penalize people like that fight with Matt Tiff, right? Matt gets kicked in the face. They got to handle that guy. He needs to not be at the racetrack for a long time. The guy that kicked Matt should not be allowed in a racetrack for a long time. No questions asked. I'm sorry. That should be the way that goes. Matt, if ASA has a rule, don't go into somebody else's pit. Matt will get penalized. He is getting penalized for going into that pit. That's a rule. I'm not going to change my rule because Matt got kicked in the face. All right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to Matt.
Shouldn't have been there.
Don't go into the guy's pit. So those fans will go, what the hell's Matt getting penalized for? But those rules are important for keeping Matt out of that pit and keeping that guy that's going to kick somebody in the face while they're on the ground out of the racetrack. And so that's where it starts. And the same thing with on the racetrack, right?
Okay.
In the Cars Tour, you spin a guy out, you're in the wreck. You go to the back. If you're in the wreck, you go to the back. Everybody goes to the back. We sent so many people to the back in one of these races. I think the top, like 6 of the top 10 got sent to the back. Yeah. But it's the only way to get these guys to understand I can't drive through these people, and I'm not going to win this race doing it that way. I'm going to get penalized. When I ran my first race back in the late model stock car, I turned a guy
we got black flagged
off turn 2. Complete accident. I'm in a really freaking good spot. I wish I could take it back because I felt like I could win the race, but they put me in the rear. It's the rules. And so I think that sort of mentality of holding people super accountable, more so than probably necessary, in the Cars Tour race at Hickory, Connor Halls drives through the 15, and the 15 turns him at the in turn 3 and 4 for coming to the checkered. Both of them are out. Yep. And so Millington, and so it sucks for Millington. You used to could wreck a guy, put him in the wall in the last lap, and you were the winner. But we can't do it anymore because you're going to continue to foster that sort of mentality, and you see it in the Truck Series. That's where I think. Not all these drivers are going through the Truck Series to get to the Cup, but like Truck, Xfinity, like there needs to be maybe some stricter parameters and drivers held more accountable to things that they create, problems they create on the racetrack, and things they choose to do with other drivers. NASCAR tries to stay out of the, we don't really know if he meant to wreck the guy. We don't want to get in the gray area of assuming that was intentional, but maybe they need to, have some sort of hey, if you're involved, you're guilty. But that's tough. It's tough. It's tough to govern.
I think you do it right.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
You got to do it early. Like I think if you start them kids,
but then they go into the Truck Series, and it's like there's no penalty for any of that stuff.
Like, what do you think about maybe a system like what does Formula One has like that system where if you get so many points, you get so many points, you start getting penalties. Wrecking points, kind of and then if you get so many in there, you lose your license or something. But
I think the overall idea is there's not much deterrent or discipline.
There's none.
Right, in the Truck, Xfinity, and even maybe the Cup to a certain extent. When it comes to dirty driving or rough driving. Now we've seen some things this year with Austin Dillon and whatever. Yeah. NASCAR said, hey, that's crossing the line. That was good. But I think I would love to see the younger guys that are coming up through the lower levels be held more accountable, and NASCAR really say, hey, we're going to be a bit over aggressive on penalizing for what we think are what we see as aggressive dirty driving, so that maybe they adapt a different style of racing and racecraft. Look at SVG, right? they have such strict rules in supercars that he got to cup racing, and he's like, damn, these boys run through you. They bump you out of the way. They push you around. We can't he's like, we can't do that in supercar. We're not allowed to touch each other. We've got to figure out how to get around a guy literally without, it's a penalty if it's like encroachment if you bump into another car.
Remember Martinsville? Whenever somebody got in him, he's like, oh, that guy was a little rude.
Yeah.
Like, this is Martinsville.
No, buddy,
what
that's every single corner. And so, that's a great understanding of a guy that was taught to race a certain way his entire life, right? Mm-hmm. Coming over here and seeing like how undisciplined we are, and which I love some of this, right? We all agree what we saw this weekend at Watkins Glen was good.
You need some of it.
Right. We need some of it, but there needs to be, I think,
finding that line
and having more accountability for the drivers in the lower series as they're coming in to the Cup Series.
I think the most contact that you were going to see from SVG was in the one when he bumped Chris, and it was only the littlest bit.
He probably was like, ugh. He probably is like, this is not so much out of character, but he's like, I'm going to do all I'm willing to do, and that was it.
Yeah,
that was all he was willing to do in terms of being physically aggressive.
You could see Chris. He was bracing himself for the last corner because he's like expecting it. But I don't think SVG would have wrecked him.
I don't think he'd have hit him super hard. Just like
he might have, if he could get inside of him, he might have tried to wiggle him a little bit.
They'd have made contact.
They might have raced side by side on the front. But I don't think SVG wrecks him.
Yeah, but if we don't, if things if things continue to ratchet up, what happens to SVG? Does he get more and more aggressive?
He's going to have to.
Because he knows, right? It's the only way he can play the game.
Yeah, he's going to have to.
What? Do you want to see that happen to SVG?
I mean, he's going to he's going to naturally
I know, but do you want it to happen? Do you want a guy that's lived under one code his whole life have to go down this other route because it's the only way you can play the game?
I mean, I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, okay. All right,
he's kind of adapted to that.
It'll happen. You'll see him get
slowly
that
there.
Little bump that he gave Chris Buescher in turn one. In about 5 years, he'll just be sending them off into the damn rumple strips. Later.
But
Get you out of here.
And I know we were saying this weekend at Watkins Glen was fine, but like that was a good level of aggression.
Perfect.
I thought.
Yeah. I mean, I could have stood for even more, but I thought it was perfect.
The way they raced through the carousel, and I could have saw that the last 3 corners have been fine.
Yep. All right, so let's run through the playoffs real quick. Some interesting names that are in really good positions. Austin Cindric is 3rd in points, plus 43. What in the hell? Alex Bowman at plus 41. Daniel Suarez plus 36. Those 3 guys sitting there in the top 5. No one had that happen. No one. Some drivers that are in trouble. Chase Briscoe is plus 6. He's probably thrilled to have that situation. Mm-hmm. Byron at plus 25. That's a little risky going into Bristol. Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin, plus 6, minus 6. They're nervous, but Denny's good at Bristol. I'm sure he'll try to put together a really smart race, and he's got a great shot at getting out of there and surviving this round. Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Harrison Burton, minus 12 to minus 20. Where are you guys? All right, so you're minus 12, TJ, going into Bristol. What's the approach?
I think we need 50 points. That's kind of the approach is stage points.
You guys, it's like Denny talking about how he needs 20 points at Atlanta. So fans aren't hip, and I'm not either. Like, fans aren't up on this new thought process of, well, we want to get this many points. And so we know, right, behind closed doors, if we do X, Y, and Z, there's 50 points.
Yeah, to tell a fan right now, we need to win. If I'm
going to win.
Oh, we have to aim to win. Yeah, 100%.
So you're not going to stage. You're not going for stage points.
Well, I mean, we are going to go for stage points, but you got to.
But if you get a chance to short pit out of the top 10, are you going to do it?
True. I don't know. I don't make.
That's
that
going
call.
for the win.
I mean. You've got to be fast. You got to be a really competitive. You got to be a top 5 car. We have to be a top 5 car or we won't transfer.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all goes down.
Who do you think makes it in and out? Like, I think.
Oh, really?
I could see.
We got time for that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'd be curious to know.
Well, who do I think makes it? I guess it's easier to say who doesn't.
Sure.
Harrison Burton will have a hard time going in and making up 20 points. Honestly, don't think Truex gets it done.
I don't think so
Minus
either.
14. That's a bit of a tall order. I believe Chase Briscoe will struggle to not get kicked out by a Denny Hamlin. You know, if you say, can Denny go in there and make the 6 points up on Chase Briscoe? Yes. And then I think it's a bit of a toss-up between the Ty Gibbs and Brad Keselowski. I don't think Brad beats Denny, but Brad could possibly outpoint Ty Gibbs. Ty's going to have to struggle. It'll be important that Ty does not do well in stage 1 and 2 to give Brad that shot.
Yeah, and don't forget, though, we're going to a place where I look at some of these guys that are 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe not Chase, but, you know, I look at Suarez and Reddick. Those guys struggled with that high tire wear stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I just think they have enough points that they're safe.
They do. I mean, if they cord a tire and go a couple laps down, you know, they don't get that yellow like
Yeah.
NASCAR was hesitant to throw there.
It'd have to be just a
but
pure day.
There's opportunity for that stuff going into
Okay.
here. So
I mean, Brad finished 3rd at Bristol earlier this year. Ty Gibbs finished 9th. Briscoe finished 13th. Those are where those guys ended up. And Ty Gibbs was leading late in that race.
Yeah.
Had tires.
I ain't gonna really look at that race. I have a hard time.
It's kind of a one-off.
I do. I look at
Sure.
I can't look at that race and go, "Yep, that's a good baseline for how I think this will go." So we just don't know what the tire wear is going to be and whether that'll be as much of a challenge.
Yeah.
If that's a challenge, then who the hell knows what happens, right? Golly.
yeah, this could all get flipped.
Yes. So which is fun. That's why we love it. This week's segment of Dirty Air was brought to you by Tire Pros. There's few people who love cars as much as I do, but these tire and service experts equally love the drive. They offer huge selections of brand name tires and full service repairs from oil changes to alignments to brakes. Tire Pros is giving your vehicle the TLC it deserves. They're unique because each location is owned by men and women in our community, but with the added support and resources of over 600 locations nationwide. So next time you need to take your car in, show your neighbors some love, and take it to the local Tire Pros. All right, it's time for Dirty Modo with Tampa Tims. We're going to talk about some of the bets that were made this past weekend in the NASCAR during the NASCAR weekend, but also preview the upcoming race at Bristol. But first off, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experiences. I got into some sports betting earlier this spring. We obviously built out our upstairs room at Dirty Mo Media and put up a bunch of TVs, and we're getting the state of North Carolina opened up, and we have all these sports books, and we have the FanDuel connection here. So I was like, man, I'm gonna get into it. Let's try it out. Had a lot of fun this spring. We bet, all of us, I think, bet a lot on the NBA Finals. I actually probably wasn't going to watch the Finals a bunch, if at all. Mm-hmm. Ended up watching 2.5 full series of the Finals, which is a major difference in what I would traditionally partake in, right? And only because we were betting on the games, right? And ended up becoming a big fan of this guy right here, Luka from Dallas. I'd never heard of. I'd heard of his last name. I'd heard of his name, but I had never really watched him play. I'm not, being around Charlotte. I might pay attention to the Hornets a little bit. But anyways, so got me a couple T-shirts. All of this because of having a little skin in the game. It was a lot of fun. During the summer, I spent a lot of time down in South Carolina, a state that's not open, so I didn't do any betting. Basically kind of took a break, which was fine. And then with the NFL cranking back up, I skipped last week, kind of thought about it, but just didn't do it.
It's not a bad week to take off.
Yeah. So that's true because, you don't really know what's coming.
Exactly.
With everybody's first game of the year. But anyways, Sunday, I decided I was going to sit at home, watch a lot of football, watch Washington play against the Giants. I was going to watch the race, and I was like, hey, I might put some money on some of these games. So what I like to do, everybody's different. Listen, I'm not an expert gambler by any means, so I'll take any help I can get. I follow a bundle, a big, full dozen of accounts on social media. It's just a suggestion, right? These people are putting up their ideas of what they think the best bets are, the same way we do at Dirty Modo with our NASCAR bets. every Thursday. Don't blindly bet somebody's advice. Like, do a little research, right? But I'm getting into it. I'm wanting to have some fun. I'm thinking I'm gonna, bet a couple units. I bet very small when it comes to value. But I was like, I'll trust a couple of these. I looked at a handful of bets through my social media and picked a couple. And I ended up on the day overall 15-9.
Dang, that's good.
I thought it was great.
That's good.
Yeah. Ended up with more than I started with.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And so last spring, I was doing big parlays with multiple players in these NBA games and not really enjoying much success. You get 6 of 8 or 5 of 6, and it was always like falling just a little short. And so I thought, when I went back to it, I was really going to just bet small, but also bet singular and have a better shot at success, winning the bet, but winning much less money. Mm-hmm. So, but I did go in on this parlay.
It's a big one.
And it's a big one. And, dude, it hit. I could not freaking believe it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I didn't even really know. I didn't put a bunch in there, so I knew right away that when it hit that I wasn't going to be like, jumping up and down about it. But a win's a win. And I bet the Commanders money line.
Oh.
Dude, I'm surprised there's nothing on social media because Amy had plenty of opportunities to get some funky stuff happening in the living room when that game was coming down to the final moments.
Oh, my God.
Because I was all over the place.
Because they didn't score a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is all true because I think that teams that allowed 3 touchdowns and scored no touchdowns were won in like 2,700 in the history of the NFL.
Checks out.
It
Probably.
had been done one time. I've seen stats where it said this is the first time a team scored 3 TDs and lost to a team that didn't score any TDs. But I've also seen that stat where there was one game that this happened. But I'm not sure. Either way,
that's still wild.
They kicked 7 field goals and beat the Giants, who scored 3 touchdowns. And the only way this happened was because, like, on one of the first plays, one of the early kickoffs to Washington, they ran it back for a touchdown that got called back because of a penalty. But on that run, the kicker for the Giants pulled a hamstring. Mm-hmm. And so they had to go for 2 when they scored.
Yeah.
And that allowed, and they didn't do well, right, in that scenario, and that allowed Washington to add up 7 field goals to beat their 3 touchdowns.
That's crazy.
It's so crazy.
It's absolutely crazy.
This only happens to Washington.
I know. I think they just picked up that kicker too, like this week or
this
something.
Week. The dude comes in. They got him on their shoulders.
Yeah, he won the game.
I was going to say they carry him off like
Dude.
Rudy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking, you could totally make a movie about this and I'd go watch it.
Yeah.
This guy's life, right?
That's Washington football, baby.
Yeah. So anyways, 15-9 overall. I don't know if it'll be that good this weekend. I don't know if I'll do any betting this weekend because I'll be busy, but we'll just kind of see. It was fun. I had fun.
That's what it's about.
Yep, I did. I don't bet a lot of money because I don't want I just get a little nervous.
It becomes not as fun.
It becomes not as fun. It does.
You're stressed out now about how much you put on it.
Yeah, and I love the idea of like, hey man, you pick whatever you feel like your unit is, right? Mm-hmm. And that's your single unit, and that's kind of where you live, and you don't change and deviate. Like if you don't chase losses.
Nope, definitely not.
Golly. And so, right? So if you lose, don't go, okay, well, let's double the bet for the next
Hawaii
one.
plays in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
let's
try to
Hawaii.
get it all back.
Yeah.
Might do that on the roulette table, but not.
I think you should go out there and be like, you guys all get new fender braces this week, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just fixed the cost problem.
There you go, guys.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it, and the apps make it so easy.
Yeah.
The apps are cool, man.
The apps
They're
are
fun.
Cool. They are.
They have a lot of good promotions too. FanDuel's got a lot of good boosts.
So
yeah, there are.
I know. Yeah. So I think I was able to boost this parlay. Mm-hmm. I hadn't played in a while, so I had all the rewards and boosts sitting there ready for me to opt in. And so just about every day there's a new boost or a new reward.
Oh, yeah.
They got him. They got him good.
No.
They do a good job.
Dude, I put it down all summer, never even thought about it. Didn't even bother me. But so, I mean, I'm in a good place with it where I feel like I enjoy doing it. But, yeah, it's something that you want to do responsibly. We were going to do something here for the remainder of the NFL season that we want the listeners to help us enjoy, right?
Play along.
And play along if you want, right? So Thursday Night Football is on Prime. We're going to work for Prime, coincidentally, next year. So we will start. We're gonna what I like to do. What I can't bet on racing, right?
Yep.
So I can't enjoy. I want to enjoy what Alex is doing, and I want to go in on some bets with Alex. But I need to do that in another area. So we're going to pick Thursday Night Football for the rest of the NFL season. We're going to all debate the money line. For example, this week it's Patriots-Jets. The Jets are favored at -260. We can argue for or against either team, and we're all going to come to an agreement at the end of the day that we're all going to place a unit on the money line bet that we all agree on. So, do we take the Jets or do we take the upset and go with the Patriots?
I'm a Jets fan, so I'm a little biased here.
So we have to bet the Jets.
But yeah, but
I also actively root against Boston teams,
all right.
so that I will not.
But it sounds like we're all going to go with the Jets. TJ, are you going to get in on this?
Can they both lose? Because I hate them both.
Yeah.
But I really feel like the Jets. I think they're at home too. I think it's in.
Yeah,
New
there's their home
Jersey
opener,
there,
I think.
so.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to open up my I'm going to get into my FanDuel account right here, and I'm going to go ahead and put my bet down for the Jets to win Thursday Night Football on Prime. The whole I was going to say DMP. The whole Dirty Mo Media DJD crew is going to make this bet, and should be a lot of fun. We did this the other day. We were there was some. I think we lost some money on the Jets last week.
We did. Yeah.
So we're gonna chase that.
Yeah,
loss.
we're gonna chase that. We're gonna stick with one unit here, but that should be a lot of fun this year.
Does Aaron Rodgers make it past 3 plays? I mean, it's the home opener. That's the last.
What did he look
right?
like this past week?
He looks good.
Yeah, he looked okay.
He looked okay.
All right, it's 280 now.
I know. I hate the price on it, but
hey, I'm just going in, man.
You're going in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any boost?
I think there is a 50% boost or something.
All right, so coming out of Watkins Glen, how did you do this past weekend?
Good. We had our best bet on the show was Chris Buescher top 10.
Damn.
So I wish I bet him to win too. Sprinkle a little bit on that, but he's money on road courses, so that was easy. We also Austin Dillon, my favorite friend over there, he spun out Christopher Bell, ruined my top 10 bet on that one, but it's all right. That race was crazy. I mean, putting Watkins Glen in the playoffs, I think, made that way more chaotic than it usually is.
All the factors like we talked about adding into there made that race.
What do you think going into Bristol? I'm sure you got Hamlin on your cards with probably automatic top 10 or something like that.
He's been so struggling recently. I think,
dude, he won Bristol.
I know, but the way he's approached the playoffs, I don't know what I think he overthought the first 2.
He fixes it.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. He's on the short list. I think Christopher Bell wins. He's got plenty of points cushion.
You're going for an overall winner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the way that this has gone, I'm going Josh Berry as a long shot winner too.
Well, Josh was fast there in the spring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but he probably
that's
has
not really a long shot.
He'll have like 30
Josh
to 1
is not
odds.
a long shot there.
He hasn't had a top 10 in the last at least 10 races.
Dude, Josh has been struggling.
Yeah, so I think the odds are going to be pretty much in our favor.
Okay. All right, man. Those are some good bets to make. There'll be more information on the upcoming race at Bristol in the Dirty Mo show with Tampa Tim, Steve Letarte, and everybody else on that team coming out Thursday on Dirty Mo Media. You want to listen to that show to be able to try to make an educated bet. And Tim's is a pretty good year, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty good year.
Yeah, it's been pretty positive.
Yeah,
you know what I'd love to see? You know what I see from a lot of these guys on social media is they sort of tell you their winning percentage, or they even give you a stat like 15-9 or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of nice to know where all of y'all individually netted out at the end of the year.
Yeah. If you read the articles on dirtymomedia.com, I have my record at the bottom of the articles.
All right.
So updated week to week.
You should drop some of that information in the show so everybody kind of knows, all right, I trust this guy. I like this guy. This guy's giving me better information.
Oh, yeah.
You guys can get competitive with each other. But Dirty Modo, man, a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what comes out on this Thursday and what other information there is for the upcoming weekend. I'm sure you'll talk some NFL as well.
Always do. College, NFL, we talk about it all.
All right, man. All right, it's time for the white flag, dropping every Sunday after the race to tear down with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi as they covered everything from Watkins Glen over the weekend. And yesterday, actions detrimental with Denny Hamlin. Must listen to audio from one of the drivers out there competing, trying to move forward in the playoffs. And door bumper clear with guest Connor Zilic, the winner from the Xfinity race this past weekend. That all come out yesterday. Tomorrow, you got Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden. The IndyCar Championship race was held this past weekend. We'll get their feelings about how that all went down. And Tim Brewer, the crew chief from back in the day, crew chief for Junior Johnson and so many different drivers throughout his career. He's going to come on here and tell us all about his life, kind of going through a run here lately of late 70s, early 80s crew chiefs. And they all sort of have a tie to each other. So it's been kind of fun doing
crew
that.
chief month, September.
Yeah, it is. It's been fun for me anyways. I love that part of the history of the sport. But that's our interview for tomorrow. And then Thursday, as we mentioned, Dirty Modo will come out. DJD Reloaded with Ask Junior and more.
Would Dale Jr. try one of Jordan's meatballs?
Okay, Jordan Bianchi, that is.
Yes.
Okay. So do you trust Jordan Bianchi's cooking, basically? This was a discussion on the teardown.
Not blindly, no.
No?
I'd need to see it.
I know. You'd have to be there to see it. You just walk in with a meatball and eating it. That's not happening.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. That's a great question because
it's out there.
It is out there. I'll be honest. I'm a skeptic of anyone cooking unless it's Amy, myself, or I'm at a restaurant. So if I'm somewhere else,
I mean,
TJ's face.
I've cooked out and you've ate. Jeez.
I don't not eat. I'm just saying.
I didn't know you were looking at me like, whoa.
Well, you know, I mean, you're over there cooking the steaks. I'd rather be doing
skeptical.
it. I would feel more comfortable if I was doing it, but I let you do it. I would feel more comfortable if Amy was doing it, but I let you do it. I still ate the steak. I'm just saying, there's levels of comfort, right? I'm a 10 if Amy cooks it, or if I cook it, or if I eat it at a restaurant. Right? Now,
where does it drop off? How far? Say I'm grilling.
It idles down, depending on where I'm at. Now, Jordan would be way down there because I've never seen this man cook. I don't know where he lives. I don't even know what these things look like.
Meatballs?
Do they? I don't know. You're just assuming it's going to be this traditional meatball sitting there.
I would think so, right?
What's it made of? Beef, chicken, turkey? What is it?
Yeah, breadcrumbs. I mean, what do you got in there?
Yeah, could be vegan. Who knows?
All right, you've thought about this more than I have.
Well, you're just going to blindly answer yes?
I don't know. Jordan
See,
seems
you
like
got to think about
trustworthy.
this. Well, that's what you're young. When you're 50 years old, you'll probably answer this question like I'm answering it.
Okay.
Right? You'll have all this experience, all these life lessons, and you go, the hell? I'm saying yes. I'm going to see it first. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, you got to are they the little ones, the bigger ones? I mean, what are we looking at here?
Yeah. All right, so.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know. There's been some times I've been places where I'm looking over at the person cooking, and I'm like, damn, I don't know.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to eat this. Right?
I literally watched him cook liver mush for me one time.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I
watched that like a hawk.
Dude, that's a great point because if I'm cooking for someone, I feel like I can't believe they're gonna eat this.
Oh my God! Wow,
I'm not a cook.
I've never.
Are you comfortable eating it yourself?
Yeah.
I had never had it before, and he's like, "You gotta try this."
Yeah, but I mean, it ain't really what I'm cooking. I mean, I might cook you a steak or a burger or liver mush or whatever. I mean, yeah, some things are more. Some things you're going to be like, I don't want to eat that. I don't care who's cooking it. But listen, don't come over to my house and expect me to make you some damn gourmet meal.
All right.
I ain't got no skills. I like it. I'll eat.
Amy can cook really well.
Amy's damn good.
She's really good at cooking.
Yeah.
She's made things that I wouldn't eat normally, like vegetable things and stuff. Like, really good.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a great
More
cook.
you know.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if we made I don't know if I made much sense there, but I'm a bit apprehensive,
Sure.
Cautious.
about like going somewhere else and eating other people's food.
I feel like Jordan's a good cook, though.
What just makes you just assume that?
He just looks like he would be very into the recipes that would require a lot of ingredients and very lot of prep and stuff, and he looks like he'd be good at it.
You hear the stories, man. You got friends like back when you were in your teenage years. You'd have friends that were like working at Wendy's or whatever, and they're like, you don't want to know what goes on back there.
Exactly.
Like, don't. Now
I wouldn't eat here myself. Like, what?
Never going there again.
Yeah,
right?
we heard it from Josh Snyder and David Hovis worked at a pizza joint.
Oh my God.
Remember that?
I would never go in there to get pizza. But yeah, those two clowns were in there by themselves, just doing whatever the hell they wanted. And when nobody was in there ordering pizza, they were just making pizzas and making up like, let's just put this on there, blah. And they were cooking pizzas just for nobody. And then they would eat a bite. They'd eat a bite and go, yeah, it tastes about what I thought. Throw it away. Well, I've heard some crazy things. Pizza. You just don't know what's true, what ain't true. But
that's it for the show today.
I'm going to get some pizza, boys.
Yeah.
All right.